Good morning. Welcome to Friday. Again and again and again. This feels a bit like Groundhog Day at the minute. Going round and round and round in circles. Better turn my comments on, hadn't I? That would be helpful. Okay, good morning. Welcome to Friday. The sun is shining. In fact, the sun is shining so much it is extremely hot in here. So we have the fan on. I do hope you can't hear a very loud whirring noise. That's not me. That is the fan. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Irene. It is beginning to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day. I feel like I'm going round and round, like stuck in one of those Star Trek time vortex things where you just keep repeating the same week over and over and over again. Good morning, Eva, from atop an Alp in Switzerland. I'd quite like to be on top of an Alp in Switzerland at the moment, Eva. It is absolutely melting here in the south of England today. Good morning, Penelope. Good morning, Isilda. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Sue. Good morning to you all you lovely people. Good morning, Helen. Friday again. Yeah, Eric is here, fast asleep, and Pete's working hard next to me. Good morning, Lani. For those of you that saw, Eric was very, very poorly this week. It was incredibly scary. We don't know what he ate or whether it was just a bug, but he was quite sickly all day and very listless. But yesterday morning, when he woke up, he was his usual total git self. So he's now completely back to normal. Good morning, Caroline. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, Jess. Good morning, myself. You realise you signed in as me. You get the feeling it's going to be one of those days. So, another Friday, another week in this bizarre world that we're living in at the moment. But we're all online. Good morning, Hayley. We have the power of the internet, which allows us to connect, which is absolutely fabulous. My Friday mornings keep me vaguely sane, chatting with you lot. And as usual, if you have any questions, please do pop them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them, anything, something, everything. Good morning, Leslie. Yeah, Eric is back to normal again, thankfully. He's been barking at pigeons and burying his socks and all sorts of things. Good morning, Beck. So yes, any questions throughout this morning's chat, just pop them in the comment. If you would like me to talk about anything in particular in the future, just pop it in the comments or message me and I will do my very best. Now, this morning, well, actually, although it probably doesn't seem like it, I do organise my chats a few days beforehand. It might seem like I wing it, and my husband's humming because I was very unorganised this morning. I think he asked me 4 times if I'd got everything ready, and each time I said yes, and I hadn't. I do actually plan it in advance. Good morning, Kelly. I do plan it in advance. So this week I ummed and ahed about what to talk about, so I did. I went back to the Flower Magic Oracle cards, and I thought I'll pick a card and I'll talk about whatever it is. I was quite surprised initially at the card that came up, which is Fertility, because, you know, daffodils, not in season at all at the moment. And a very, very heavily pregnant lady there. She looks quite uncomfortable, actually, and I can totally relate to that. But yeah, that is daffodil from my garden. That's some from last year that we had. Good morning, Rachel. So spring flowers. So I was a bit surprised when the card for Fertility came up, because trust me when I say that there are no babies on the horizon. But I will go into more detail about fertility in a minute, because obviously it doesn't just cover little babies. Lani pulled that card this morning too. Lani, we're in sync. That's perfect. But I was surprised because, you know, we've just had Linasar and it's height just tipping over of summer, even, you know, heading on towards autumn. So I was surprised to pick a spring type card. But then I thought about it, and I thought, actually, I've had a lot of rethinks this week. I've had a lot of time to sit and think about replanning and how I look at things from a different perspective. My own website and the Kitchen Witch website have both had revamps this week. They're all looking all sparkly and new. And I've had a rethink about how I work in some areas as well. So actually, that's all covered under the fertility card. So that kind of makes sense now. Good morning, Karen. So I'll read you the meaning for the card, and then we can have a look at fertility in more detail, because it is a huge umbrella term for all sorts of things. So daffodil brings fertility, but not just of the pink, wrinkly and loud baby kind. It can also mean fertility of new plans and projects. Daffodil can fill your head with all kinds of wonderful thoughts, plots and schemes. You just need to be open to it and let it do its thing. The project you have been pondering over but never started? This card says, be brave, be bold, and go for it. If it is the baby bump you are seeking, then daffodil is your go-to fertility flower. It springs, pun intended, into action and brings all the mystical and magical fertility you need to create a new life. And of course, it could also mean a baby in the furry four-legged area of your life too. And along with that fertility comes the luck of daffodil, whether you really are trying to hit the pitter-patter of tiny feet, or for the success of your new venture or love life. So it does cover, yes, Sue, fertile imagination in creativity. Perfect. Yes. Good morning, Melody. Daffodil magic. Now, I do use daffodil a lot for new beginnings, new projects. It is my go-to herb plant for anything that needs a boost of new energy to it, or for a new project that I'm starting. But carry daffodil with you for all heart-related matters as well. Keep in the bedroom to increase fertility. Grow them in your garden to protect your house and to dispel negativity. And I think that's because they are such a bright, sunshiny, happy flower. They clear out the negative energy. And it can also remove negative spells. And apparently you should never give anyone a single daffodil. And to quote, "'Tis said to bring misfortune." So always a bunch of daffodils. And the myths, history of daffodil. And of course, Greeks do like a good tragedy. I do feel I need to do that now. If you're of my age, you'll understand that. If you're not, you'll have to look it up. Narcissus, son of a god and a nymph, would sit for hours looking at his own reflection in the river. He spent so much time there, he actually fell in love with it. In the spot that he died, up sprang a daffodil. There you are, tale of warning there. Don't sit looking at your own reflection for a long time. Roman soldiers would carry the bulbs with them, and if mortally wounded, would eat them, because the bulb would release its narcotic but poisonous toxins, and the soldier would die, but presumably pain-free and oblivious. So another word of warning there, don't eat daffodil bulbs. They are incredibly toxic. But that kind of makes sense, that if they were mortally wounded, that was a good way to go out, I guess. Christine, we're in the process of doing up the garden, so that's my own fertility going on in this house. Fantastic. I do love a bit of garden planning. We only have a small garden, but it gets revamped quite often. One of my favourite things to do is revamp gardens. But yes, that's all about fertility, isn't it? Particularly in the garden, because you're growing things. And fertility is all about growing things. And I think it is. I think you have to look at it from the point of view. As soon as you hear the word fertility, probably most of us think of babies. And it doesn't have to be of the human variety. It can be. I mean, that may be where you're headed. That may be what you want. No, thank you. None of that business. But it can cover other members of your family, obviously. No, too young to be a grandma yet. Just putting that out there as well. But it can cover pets, dogs, cats, birds, hamsters, lizards. I know I'd quite like a pig and a chicken, really, but I'm not sure that Eric would really appreciate having a pig and a chicken as well. Good morning, Maria. Lani has put solar lights along the pathway in the back garden. They're very pretty. They're brilliant solar lights, aren't they? They are so fantastic, and they do look very effective. Oh, and Sue has a puppy arriving next week, so brilliant. Yep, that's all about fertility as well. Excellent. So yeah, and then of course bigger scope, as Christine says, planning the garden. Gardening and growing is all about fertility, but it might cover new decorating of your house, reshuffling of furniture, but then it covers new businesses, new ventures, new projects, new craft ideas, and even just new ways of thinking, really, which I think is why I pulled the card this week, because I've had a rethink about how I work. So it's all about new, basically, lots of new beginnings, new ideas. Kelly's just got a new fur baby puppy. See, it's all about fertility this week. We're all doing it. Sue, never been a gardener, but this year I have pots of herbs, flowers, everything. It's never happened before. I have a solar fountain. The sound of water is so nice. We're looking at solar fountains, have been looking at them for a while. So yeah, fantastic. I think the idea of a solar fountain is brilliant, like the solar lights, really. But yeah, oh, good. I'll be interested to see how you get on with your solar fountain, Sue, because we have been looking at that. But gardening and being out in the garden is what's kept me on the side of sanity just in the last few months, having my garden to go out and potter about in. But yeah, fertility covers so many things, and there are all sorts of correspondences with it. If you're thinking about working fertility spells, Monday and Friday are the best days to work fertility spells. If you're into astrology, then planets, Venus, Moon, Sun, and Jupiter are all the best ones for fertility spells. Or zodiac signs, Taurus, Cancer, and Sagittarius, good for fertility spells. And obviously the moon phases, new moon, waxing moon, and full moon, all good, because they're all about growing things. They're all about starting new things and then growing them and giving them a bit of power and oomph behind it. I think for me, fertility spells color-wise, if I'm working with candle magic or color magic of any kind, green is generally the one I go to. But oranges, yellows, reds, all in that kind of spectrum for me are all about new beginnings and about growth. There's lots of herbs and foods. I'll give a quick pick out of some of the more interesting ones. Avocado, and I'm guessing that's because it has the huge stone inside of it, so it is quite a fertile vegetable fruit. Leslie's decorating a house now and changing colour schemes. Fantastic, Leslie. I absolutely loathe and detest decorating. It is one of the things that we only ever do if we really, really have to. So good luck with that, especially in this heat. Whew, wouldn't want to be doing that in a minute, I must admit. What else we've got? Blackberries. Of course, they're all coming in season now. So blackberries are excellent for fertility. I would suggest, if you're working with them in spells, to go for the blackberry leaves or the thorns rather than the actual blackberries. Eat the blackberries for the fertility, because in spell working they're a little bit squishy. Although blackberry juice works quite well as a blood substitute if you're working with that in spells. Cherries, another one. Don't use the cherry, eat them, because they're nice. Use the stones. I collect the cherry stones and I use them in magic. Corn, that's another one that's coming into season as well. Sweet corn. You can dry the kernels of that, or you can use the outer husks in your spell work. Eggs, brilliant fertility one. I mean, the egg is fertility in a shell, basically. It also covers all four elements. You've got all earth, air, fire, and water all in the one container. Obviously, you can eat the eggs, but in spell work, I use the eggshells. I wash and dry the eggshells, and I use them in spell work because it's much easier than using sloppy egg yolks. Lettuce apparently is quite a good fertility one as well. You know how you'd quite work with that. You'd have to eat it, I think. Oats are obviously quite a good fertile one. Olives, because they've got the stones again, I think. Peaches, mangoes, they've all got the stones in them. Pomegranate, because of all the seeds that they've got in there, and I'm guessing as well that ties in with the Persephone story. Rice is another good one. Dried rice in your spells, not cooked rice. That's where the tradition of throwing rice at a newly married couple comes from, because the rice not only symbolizes prosperity, but it was also fertility as well. So they would throw it at the happy couple to bring them fertility magic. Soya actually is very good for fertility as well. Sunflower seeds, brilliant as well. And my sunflowers are flowering at the moment and they're looking fantastic. I think generally any kind of seed is really good for fertility, particularly the ones like sesame seeds, fennel seeds, anything that's teeny tiny, because you get so many of the seeds, poppy seeds, you get so many of the seeds in the seed head. They are incredibly fertile because there's so many seeds in there. So I think most seeds cover you for fertility. Leslie, first time in 6 years decorating. Yeah, you beat me. Some of my rooms are even older than that for decorating. Maria wants to get a solar fountain too. Yeah, I think we should all get solar fountains. I think they look really interesting. Leslie, it's the first time I felt I really wanted to change my surroundings. I think, do you know, I think that might be the time of year as well, because we are on that change or heading for the change. We've had the first harvest, so we're heading towards autumn now, and it is that kind of change in the season. It always makes me feel a little bit restless, and I feel the need for changes. Haircut next week. Phew, at last.
I'll get my coat.
You get your coat. No, I've kept you for 28 years. No, I'm not going to change you now. It takes ages to break a new husband in. Sue, worth every penny, had my fountain for years. Yeah, oh, excellent. They are. We've got to get a solar fountain. Yeah. We have been looking at them, so they do look fab. Good morning, Eve. Yeah, I think it is the time of year it is for changes. So maybe that's why the fertility card has come up today, because it's that shift. It's that time for doing a bit of a change up. So that's foods. There are a lot more foods. I will put them on the blog as always. Looking at herbs and plants, catnip, cornflower or bachelor's buttons, as I believe they're called in America. Lots of the spring flowers, cyclamen and daffodils, obviously. Now, daffodil, I've got hay fever today because the sun is shining and it's causing my nose to twitch. Or maybe that's just me being a witch. Be careful if I twitch my nose. Daffodil's brilliant because the flower dries on the plant. So there's none of this faffing about picking it, laying it out or tying it up to dry. I don't know if you can see there. But when the daffodil flowers, you let it flower and then you just leave it. And the flower actually shrivels and dries on the actual plant. And when it's fully dried, you just pick off the flower head and it's already dried. And I do crush them up a bit so they're ready for spell work. And because they go further if you crush them up, last longer. So it's brilliant for the drying point of view because the plant does it all itself. So absolutely brilliant to work with daffodil. Fennel, because it's a seed one again. Geraniums. I think again geraniums because they do flower so well. They flower so much. Hawthorns, very good for fertility. Mistletoe is very good fertility as well. And I'm assuming that's all to do with the male white seeds of the mistletoe, if you get my drift. Mustard's a good one as well, and I'm going with the seeds on that one because the mustard seeds are tiny. Oak, pine, poppy again for the seeds. and walnuts. And I think nuts as well, nuts in general, do hold a huge pack of fertility. And we're going back to the masculine reference of nuts again. And that's, I think, where the fertility side of it comes from. I'll leave that one with you. And on to crystals. Quickly on to crystals. Moss agate. And I think that any of the green stones for me will speak of fertility, because it's all about growth, and green really, to me, says nature and growing things. So it works perfectly for fertility. Jade, which I actually haven't got any of. Moonstone, which is such a bizarre looking stone. It's not actually one that I'm particularly drawn to, I must admit. It does make me think of a piece of cold fish, but there you go. Moonstone. The moon is just perfect for fertility and new ideas and growth. A pebble, normal pebble or a pebble or a hagstone. Hagstones have a long history of fertility. If you do find one and you want the fertility of the baby kind, hang one up over your bed, and that will bring you fertility magic. And little tiny pieces here of rose quartz. I've had a bit of a problem lately of things going missing, magical items going missing. First of all, it was all my feathers, which I have now found, now that I don't need them. And some of my crystals have gone, my big chunks of crystals have gone as well. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. But Sue didn't have any daffs this year. No, we didn't have any daffs come up this year either. We had some tulips, but not some daffodils this year. Those ones I've got are from last year. Kerry, how long do the eggshells last after washed and kept in a jar? Kerry, indefinitely. If you wash them and dry them properly, leave them out to dry, they last indefinitely. I think these ones are about a year old now. But I just refill them, as it gets lower, I refill them. So there may even possibly some in the bottom there that are a couple of years old. So yeah, as long as they're dried properly, they'll last indefinitely. Penelope says, Fennel is used to help increase breast milk supply. That's definitely fertility related. Absolutely. I do like the taste of fennel. I think it's that aniseedy flavour, isn't it, which is quite zingy. Lani found one the other day on a windowsill and forgot you had it. Christine, you've got divas in the house. Yeah, I've got something in the house, Christine. I don't know what it is at the minute, but it's moving stuff. Sue, have you found your book of shadows yet? No, I haven't found my book of shadows either. There's definitely something that, there's something going on. I haven't investigated properly. I will do that. Oh, it was a hagstone Lani found on your windowsill. Okay, I wasn't sure then. Like, it's a dog just run under my feet. A hagstone on your windowsill. Yeah, they are on the beach near us, but I know some beaches don't have them. Hagstones, very useful hagstones, free and brilliant to work with. Eve was looking for a crystal yesterday and a big moss agate jumped out at me. Kept it with me by my bed and going through a lot of changes, health and work. Yep, brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Crystals do that, don't they? They find you when you need them. Perfect. So I haven't particularly got spells to work for you today, but I've got some spell ideas. So basil is particularly good for fertility spells. Keeping it simple. If you want the fertility magic, put basil on your windowsill or outside your door. Hang it outside your door. To aid specifically with conception, keep a bunch of fresh basil hung over your bed, and of course you can eat it to bring in the fertile magic. Apparently, there's an ancient Chinese fertility spell. This is an interesting one. It involves throwing dates and nuts, chestnuts specifically, onto the bed to aid with conception. That sounds quite uncomfortable and a little bit messy, So I think I would actually pop them in a little bag and put them under the pillow or under the bed instead. I can't imagine laying on dates and nuts. Sounds quite bizarre, but apparently that's a Chinese fertility spell. Hey, who are we to judge? And of course, rabbits. Rabbits have long been associated with fertility. Christine, no more conception on my bed, thank you. Yeah, keep the fruits and nuts away from your bed, Christine. I'll stick to eating mine in a fruitcake, thanks. But yes, rabbits have long been known for fertility because of that's what they do, really. They eat and they do it. So you can work with the energy of the rabbit in any of your spells to bring about fertility. And again, it's not just about babies. You can use them in new project spells as well. All you need is a picture of the rabbit. You can have a spell, you can have some incense to tie in with it if you want to. Pop the image of the rabbit on your altar. It could be a picture you printed off of the internet, it could be a little statue. Light a candle if you want, but focus on the image of the rabbit and ask for the gift of fertility. Visualize the new beginnings of your project, your venture, adventure, and see it coming to fruition, and call on the energy of the rabbit to help you achieve it, basically, and repeat the exercise until the seed has been planted. I like that chocolate though, says Maria. Well, fruit and nut chocolate. Oh yeah, I'm with you there, Maria. Fruit and nut. Plain chocolate fruit and nut is particularly nice. Another crystal to work with is Bloodstone. And funny enough, I received a Bloodstone in a witchy mystery box this week as well. So maybe that was trying to tell me something as well. You need 1 or 2 pieces of Bloodstone crystal for this. And basically, if you want of the baby variety, place the Bloodstone on your womb to stimulate fertility. Lie quietly for at least half an hour with the Bloodstone in place, and do it preferably on a new or a full moon. But actually, just thinking about it, if you didn't want the fertility of the baby variety and you wanted the fertility of new ideas, place it on your forehead. New love, place it on your heart. That would work. Maria, what card was chosen next part? Daffodil, Maria. We're on Daffodil today. Fertility. Fertility of all kinds. On to shells. Now, I always think of shells as fertility things. I have got some interesting ones here. I was given a bag of craft shells, and I didn't want to throw them away. I'd rather use them. But please be careful when you're buying shells to make sure that they have been ethically sourced. Some of them are not, and it's quite a horrible story, the backstory that goes with them. So do, if you can find the shells yourself, then brilliant. But if you do buy them, do make sure you can trace where they've come from. But I mean, the shell houses the little animal. So in the sea as well. So it's got that ocean energy connected with the moon as well. So for me, shells work perfectly for fertility, particularly the cowrie shell. I've got cowrie shells. Do you think I could find them today? Nope. Got a little pesky house brownie, I think. So if you look at a cowrie shell, it's said that part of the magic, the fertility magic of the cowrie shell, is because it's shaped like a yoni. You might want to look at a cowrie shell to have a look. It's kind of got that feel to it. But you can hang it from a necklace, or make belts, or from a bag, or make a bracelet, or just pop the shells on your altar to bring about any kind of fertility. So yeah, shells, but cowrie shells in particular for fertility. Christine got a tiki from New Zealand and wore that, then shared it out to all friends, and it worked with them too. Keep it well hidden now. Yes, it's a fertility figure, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I am told that the little tikis, I've got one of those somewhere as well, should be gifted if you've got a tiki pendant or image, it should be gifted to you for the best outcome. My dad actually wears one all the time. They are very, very interesting. The New Zealand culture, Maori culture, and the spirituality is absolutely fascinating. If you ever have the time to look into it, do, because it is fascinating. And then round to eggs again. It is possibly one of the most symbolic signs of fertility, is an egg. And apparently you should place a pair of eggs in a bowl and cover them with water and keep the bowl under your bed. Replace weekly until the seed is planted. Yeah, I suggest you do replace them weekly, otherwise they would get a little bit yucky. That's an old folklore one, by the way. You can charge a raw egg still in its shell with your intent and then bury it. And obviously Mother Nature does its thing and breaks the egg down. Oh, yeah. Christine's laughing at you, Eric, with your blanket over your head. He does that quite a lot. He's a funny thing. You can decorate eggs with fertility colours and symbols and place them in a bowl or hang them from the branch. You can create a fertility tree, which is quite a good idea. You could hang new ideas, new beginnings on your tree as well. Medicine or spell pouches are really good to work with for fertility. Mugwort actually is, I've got a little bit left there. My friend Sue gave me that and I've used quite a lot of it. I've got a little bit left. Just mugwort in a bag. Traditionally a red pouch for mugwort will bring fertility. You could also fill it with dried peas or dried beans, which are also intent of prosperity and growth and fertility. Jasmine flowers, got some here somewhere, there we go. Little jasmine flowers, dried jasmine flowers. And I think, again, one of their connections to fertility is because there's so many tiny little white flowers on the jasmine, although we've got a pink jasmine as well in the garden. But there's so many flowers on it, so it is very fertile. Anything like acorns, nuts, shells, anything like that, mistletoe, pop them all in your little bag. You could dress it with a fertility essential oil as well. Carry it with you, place it on your altar, pop it under your bed. Perfect. Spell bags are so easy to work with. And on to a very interesting spell, a cake fertility spell. Now, obviously, this is one of my personal favorites. This is a Jewish tradition. Magical cakes are prepared for brides and women wishing to become pregnant. A round cake is decorated with the woman's name, names of power and sacred texts. You could use a chant, I guess. The woman then has to eat the whole cake. Sounds like a win-win situation to me. I like that idea a lot. Presumably it's not, a family-size cake. I'm assuming it is of the smaller size. But that sounds perfect to me. Maria, he's so sweet. Eric is very sweet when he's asleep. When he's awake, he's total git. And of course, nuts and seeds. Back to nuts and seeds. They are huge, huge powerhouses of fertility energy. But you can create a charm to wear with them. Acorns, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, melon seeds work as well. Sharp needle and thread. Just thread them. It actually works if you soak the seeds for about an hour beforehand because it makes them a little bit more pliable. Thread them on using the sharp needle and you can create bracelets, you can create necklaces. If you're using nuts, you might have to drill the holes. If you're using acorns, just thread them on and you've got bracelets and necklaces. Christine likes the idea of the cake. Might do that for your garden ideas. Oh, I like your thinking, Christine. Excellent. I think we should all have cakes for breakfast. We should have breakfast fertility cakes to set us up for the day. with new ideas and new opportunities for each day. We could have a breakfast fertility cake. I like that idea. I think we should put that into action. So that's it for fertility, unless anybody has any questions from me. It really is a huge subject, so don't be put off by the idea of fertility just being about little babies. It's about all sorts of new beginnings and new ideas, new opportunities. A quick roundup of what we've got coming up for you. Obviously, I'm here every Friday until you shout at me not to be, or until people stop turning up. Moonbooks live chats every Wednesday evening, different author each week over on the Moonbooks Facebook page, 7 p.m. every Wednesday evening. We have a Waffling Witches on Sunday the 6th of September, and it's all about magical herbs at 10 a.m. Sunday 6th of September over on the Kitchen Witch Facebook group. My very lovely husband is putting up links for you in the comments. I'm doing a curative magic chat from here, from this page, on the 23rd of August at 4 p.m. It's the launch of, I think I've got one here, my new book, Curative Magic. This one's a biggie. This one is good to use as a doorstop. It's pretty heavy, but I'll be launching that on 23rd of August, 4 p.m. and I'm going to be doing a book giveaway during the chat. I'm going to be working with some magic from the book. I'll be giving away a couple of books, but it'll be to people that are actually at the chat that give me the best questions. So be there, be square. Kitchen Witch are doing another online ritual for the autumn equinox, Sunday the 20th of September at 7 p.m. and that's in the Kitchen Witch Facebook group. And for Kitchen Witch students in the private student group, we've got a student chat Sunday 16th of August 4 p.m. for any of your questions. Sue, look forward to the wafflers. Yep, we talk about waffle quite convincingly. Who knows what we'll end up talking about. Lani missed the chat on Wednesday. Catch the replay, my lovely. It's all there. Kelly's ordered the book. Thank you, sweetheart. That's very, very kind of you. Christine, have a great weekend in the sun. I should be hiding from the sun, to be honest, Christine. It is a little bit too warm for me out there at the minute. Leslie is excited for the Curative Magic book. Thank you. It's the biggest book I've written so far. I say so far because I've just finished a complete moon magic book for Moonbooks that is even bigger than the Curative Magic one. So, but yeah, it's good for, propping up things and keeping doors open. Thank you, Sue. I'm glad you enjoyed the chat. It's fun for me to share, and I learn things from you guys, and hopefully you learn something from me along the way. Karen, it's dull and dismal in Manchester, but too warm. Oh no, we do have sunshine, but first thing this morning I got up and thought, phew, got me a warm one today. But let's, work with the sun, Maria, can't wait for the moon book. It's called Beneath the Moon, and it's just having its final copy edit now. So I'm guessing you probably won't see that one till early 2022, but you never know. It might be late 2021. Who knows? Just can't shut me up, really. Any more questions about anything? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up, as they say. If you want me to talk about anything in particular next week, week after, whenever, if you want the Waffling Witches to cover any particular subject, let me know. Always happy to talk about, complete rubbish if I have to. I do talk complete rubbish most of the time, but you're very, very patient putting up with me doing all the waffle. And of course, always on here if you need me. Anyone got any questions in the meantime, just ping me a message. Always happy to answer them. Blessings to you, Kerry, too. You have a fantastic weekend. Lani, I have a new list of all the books that you've written that I don't already have. Bless you. They are all on my website. If you want to have a look at what I've done and what's coming up, There's an element of earth one that's due out next year as well. They are all on my website. You're very welcome, Melody. Very welcome indeed. Thanks so much, guys, for your continued support. You are absolutely fantastic. Oh, bless you, Christine. Right back at you. We're all fantastic. It's all the energy of everyone that makes it such fantastic, fun Friday morning. It would be very silly me sitting here talking to myself without you lot. Karen, can't wait for the element of earth. Thank you, Matt. There is the element of fire waiting to be written, the next one as well. But I'll get there. Thank you, Jess. You're very welcome. You have a wonderful weekend too. So I will leave you with the blessings of the sunshine. Make the most of it because the wheel is turning. And have a very wonderful weekend, everyone. And thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully I will see. Oh, and there's Rachel as well. Hello, Rachel. You're very welcome, Helena. I'm glad you were able to join me this week. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone, and take care.